Hola mi gente, ¿cómo están? Les quería mencionar que hoy, septiembre 15, empieza la celebración nacional de nuestra cultura hispanohablante. Y como también septiembre es el mes de la prevención y de la información del suicidio, quería venir y darles unos datos de que afectan a nuestra comunidad latina y hispanohablante en el tema de nuestra salud mental. And as many might not know, both of my parents are from Jalisco, Mexico. They migrated to the United States. I was born here, but as you may tell, I struggle with my Spanish, and I am going to be doing a lot more effort in community outreach and practicing my Spanish. I do struggle in that. I don't use it as often, so I am ashamed of my bocha out accent. But I can pride myself that as well that I struggle with Spanish. I struggle with English as much, so at least I'm even on those ends. But I wanted to come on here and give you a couple of notes and statistics that I found that are pretty staggering and heartbreaking, to the fact that mental health is such a taboo subject in our Latin and Hispanic communities. So this is the information that I found for you. Um, of the US population, 18.3% of us are Latinos or Hispanic. Of those, over 16% of Latinos or Hispanic um, individuals identify with having a mental health condition. In other words, that's around 10 million people, which is the population of New York City. So that is 10 million Latinos y Hispanos están sufriendo con su salud mental. But unfortunately, this group of people in our community are less likely to receive mental health care. Within recent studies, it showed that among those adults, 48 of those people that had mental health issues, 48 of that percent were of white descent, and they received services. In contrast, only 31% of Black and Hispanic members received assistance, and only 22% of Asian communities received assistance. And there's a couple of reasons of factors that affect the access to these treatments. Not having insurance is the main one. The stigma associated with mental health, even in non diverse communities, there is still a stigma, and it increases dramatically within the Hispanic community. The lack of diverse providers is really a subject that we don't think about, because we see the doctors coming in and we don't think about that. But when it comes to mental health, if you are not aware of the culture the individual, your patient has, you will not be able to fully comprehend their trauma, fully comprehend their background, because you don't understand any aspect of their culture. Language barrier obviously is a huge one. If you're not able to communicate with your provider, how are you going to be able to express your frustrations that you're feeling? I struggle with that myself, and I'm able to speak directly to my provider in English, in a language that is native to me. So that's obviously a factor. The distrust in the healthcare system, I mean, they just put a band-aid on you and send you out the way. So within our community, we rather just suck it up and and not deal with it. And of course, the low culture of competence among the providers is an issue. Unfortunately, well, very fortunately, religion can be a very protective factor for mental health in Latinos and Hispanic communities, which is their faith and prayer. We really believe and hold that truth to ourselves, but that can also contribute to the stigma against mental illnesses and treatments because that means that the demons are coming at us, or the lack of faith, or we did some sinful behavior, so that means this is why I'm struggling. So targeting religious institutes to help encourage good mental health and treatment seeking is very important. We really need to make sure that we see mental health as important as our physical health. If we are having seminars about checking our diabetes, our high blood pressure, our cholesterol, then we should also be having seminars about mental health, about depression, about anxiety, about bipolarness, about schizophrenia, about autism, ADD, ADHD, um, because they're the same. We should be seeing them the same. Um, and there is a perception in our Latino and Hispanic communities, especially among older people, that discussing our problems about mental health can create an embarrassment and shame for the family, which then results fewer people seeking help, which is so twisted and frustrating because mental health illnesses are genetic. And if one family member is suffering of a mental health, there is a high probability that there are multiple family members that are suffering from this mental health um, illness. But yet, because there's this negative, stupid stigma and embarrassment that we're gonna shame the family because we're opening up about our problems, that then we create this cyclical process in our family that just keeps this the abuse going, the negative cycle. And it's ridiculous. I mean, that's why I'm so passionate about it. This is why I'm open to share my struggles, the fact that I am seeing a therapist, I am seeing a psychiatrist, I have my personal practitioner, I am taking medications, um, I am doing mindful meditation, I am struggling, I am still depressed, I am still having my moments of doubt and intrusive thoughts, but I'm empowered by the lack of resources for myself. Um, I haven't been able to find a lot of people that are sharing my same experience, and that's because of this negative stigma within my own community, within my own family. It is genetic, so I know I have a lot of family members, but I it's not well talked about. So I'm making myself vulnerable, sharing my experience. Hopefully someone will out there will listen, stay through my whole videos, and hopefully just find that connection that you're not alone. Um, and that's my goal, is that someone out there within my own friends, within my own community, within the Monterey Bay, within anywhere else around here, um, that if they find some kind of comfort knowing that I'm suffering here too, um, but I'm fighting. I'm fighting for you. Um, it's a lot easier to fight for someone else, um, and focus on my own frustration sometimes, because then that ends up going into a negative circle. So I'm very passionate in helping you guys out and sharing my experience. And hablando con mis latinos, no sean orgullosos. Necesitamos ayuda. Somos humanos imperfectos. Hasta Dios ha dicho, somos imperfectos. Sí, tenemos que orar y tener fe en en nuestro Dios, en quien nosotros creamos. Nosotros necesitamos también poner el mismo esfuerzo en nuestra propia vida. Porque yo he aprendido de que no importa cuánta ayuda yo pueda tener, cuando yo esté enfrente del doctor, yo estoy sola. Y si yo no le digo al doctor todos mis problemas, todo lo que yo siento, lo que yo estoy pensando, el doctor no me va a poder ayudar. El doctor no va a poder averiguar lo que me está pasando si él no sabe lo que yo estoy sintiendo, estoy sufriendo. Y si ese doctor no mira de que no siente de que está poniendo atención o que que te está apurando, que te diga, ok, pues ya, esta medicina y ya, te va a curar. Si tú piensas de que eso no está bien, tú dile, eso no está bien, yo estoy pagando para tu servicio, yo estoy pagando para tu tiempo. Y no me voy a ir hasta que tú me escuches. Y si tú no me quieres escuchar y atender, yo voy a buscar a alguien más que sí me vaya a ayudar y me va a atender y va a tener compasión. Because I'm very compassionate about that. I've had multiple experiences where I've had to literally advocate for myself, and they've been at points where I've been at the lowest of my lowest self-esteem, of depression, of a manic episode, where if someone else was barely holding on, they would have gave up. These doctors are in life and death, are dealing with life and death situations. Someone could literally be their last resort. They feel so lost and just it's this feeling. If you've never felt it before, I never want you to feel it. And if you do feel it, please reach out. There's resources. But unless you felt this before, you will never understand why someone would look into suicide as an answer. So the fact that they're wanting to reach out for help, letting you know they're not attention seekers. They are literally seeking for help. So if you need help, please reach out. Reach out to me. I have resources. I have number to doctors. I could help you with your insurance. Not literally, but I could find a number for you. If I'm not available, because I'm an advocate, but I'm also going through my own journey, and I appreciate your understanding. If I'm not available, don't give up. Don't give up. You may seem like you reached your low, but tomorrow will be another day. And because we already survived one day, we are able to survive another. And I want you to survive another day, because that means you're one day stronger. You're one day courageous. And who knows who might be looking at you as a mentor, as a role model, and you showing up for yourself is also showing up for someone else. And I always want you to show up for yourself first. Y con estas palabras, Les quiero decir, como siempre, cuídense, aquí estoy y amor y paz. Que les vaya bien.